All right, here we go. This is going to be a rough one because we knew that going into the season, we have been talking about it a while. The big last series going up against the Atlanta Braves. This was going to be the big make or break for the Mets. This is going to be what ultimately decides if they get that first round bye and really could help themselves in the postseason, being a little more rested, having all your pitchers ready to go. You don't want to start a playoff series with Carlos Carrasco or Taijuan Walker pitching game one. So this series was of the utmost importance for the Mets. And because it was so important, the New York Mets put together their three best pitchers, their three aces, DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett. You felt like with those three guys making the start, you give yourself a good chance of winning. But obviously, that was not the case. We will start off with the very first game. Jacob DeGrom on the mound. And once again, DeGrom not able to get the job done. And he goes the 6 innings, gives up the 3 runs. They got swept, period. I mean, yeah, there's no other way around it. Well, there's a lot of reasons why they got swept. We'll get into all of them. But, I mean, starting off with DeGrom, all in all, it goes as a pretty good start getting the 11 strikeouts. But with the kind of reputation he has, with the kind of importance of this game, wasn't good enough with all those home runs that he was giving up. And then Tyler McGill did not help out the situation at all. I think the experiment of him as a reliever really has not gone to plan. And it bothers me that here you are in this huge series. Your answer is to go to Tyler McGill in a really big spot in that first game. So I thought that was a bit puzzling. You know, you had the off day on Thursday, so you have plenty of options that you could have gone to for that Friday game. But they decided not to do it, using Tyler McGill. That didn't work. And for DeGrom, the thing that frustrates me the most about him was after the game when he's talking about his blister. Oh, could it go more than 6 innings because of my blister situation? Oh, I didn't pitch well against Oakland because of my blister situation. And it's like, wait a second. You're Jacob DeGrom. You're the guy that no matter what is going to opt out at the end of the season because you deserve the most money in baseball. And you know what? The past few years, when healthy, the rare instances when healthy, DeGrom has been the best pitcher in baseball. But the best pitcher in baseball does not make those kind of excuses, doesn't have all these blister problems. I mean, when do the Dodgers pull their starting pitchers because of blister issues? I haven't seen it. When do the Astros, when does Justin Verlander come out of a huge game and say, oh, you know what? I got a blister. Oh, I can't pitch well. And then the start prior to that, oh, I had a blister. Oh, that's why I wasn't able to go long in the game. I never heard of such excuses. Did any of the Atlanta Brave guys have any blisters, or why is it only the Mets? Taijuan Walker's got all these blisters. DeGrom's got blisters. I mean, what's with the excuses? I just think that Jacob DeGrom, the guy, the reputation he has, how long he's been pitching, I just expect more out of him. I really just think that is not good when you see the last few starts of the season. DeGrom is just not pitching all that well. And now you're going to go into the postseason and face the Padres. And, is DeGrom going to make that last start against the Nationals? Maybe. I don't know if it's even worth it, because if the Mets lose another game against Washington and Atlanta clinches the division, why would you waste DeGrom in Washington? Why not have him just completely fully rested for the NLDS? Because it's going to be coming up very shortly. I mean, this wild card round going on. So that's something that they're going to have to figure out later on. I mean, how much confidence do we have that the Mets are going to sweep the series against the Nationals? Because one of the other reasons why they even find themselves in this predicament today is because of how poorly they played for the month of September, particularly against these very beatable teams, these very winnable games, that they did not get the job done. We heard so much in August. Oh, well, don't worry. In September, the Mets are going to face a bunch of easy teams. So, as long as the Mets kind of stay where they're at, win those games that they're supposed to, they'll be fine. They'll win the division. Nothing to worry about. But when you get swept by the Cubs and you lose plenty of games to the Nationals and plenty of games to the Marlins and you lose some games to the Pirates, you find yourself in a situation where it's make or break. You have got to win this series against the Atlanta Braves and not get swept. This was the worst possible thing that could happen. So now the Mets are going to find themselves, going up against the Padres, who, they did not do well against San Diego in the regular season. Doesn't mean too much of the postseason. We've seen plenty of times where a season series isn't reflective of a postseason series. But I think that the bigger concern is just that the Mets are not playing good baseball right now. That's the thing that frustrates me. We talked about DeGrom not getting the job done. We'll get to Scherzer next. Bassett really struggled. But offensively, we've seen this continuous inconsistencies. We've seen this team get on base a ton of times. And you saw in this last game, the Mets had so many hits, but they have so few runs because all they do is a bunch of singles. And nobody on this team will try to steal a single base. You have Travis d'Arnaud back there, not the strongest arm in the world. I mean, we saw d'Arnaud get exploited, exposed when he was with the Mets time after time after time. There was still base on him, and the Mets won't even try. And it's mostly because they have a team of guys who can't even do it. They have all these guys that can't move out there, all these slow pokes, the catchers, Alonso, Vogelback, Canna, all the Guillorme, all these guys that cannot move. They are not athletic. So you have to get single after single after single just to score a measly single run. You need all of that work just to score one run. And when it comes to that, and you're facing good pitching on a night in, night out basis, it's tough to rely on that. The only runs the Mets are getting is, a home run from Jeff McNeil, a home run from Daniel Vogelback. Meanwhile, the other 10 hits, you get a whole bunch of nothing. That is a very hard philosophy to have success when the Braves are hitting all of these no-doubters. You have Olsen hitting a home run just about every game of this series. Dansby Swanson hitting a home run every game of this series. So when you have that power, you can just get more runs with less hits, more results with less work. So it's just the way that they have assembled this team. And, oh, my gosh, the rookies, I hate to get on them, but one frank about sports, we got to be frank about it. We got to call it like it is. The rookies are not getting the job done. They call up Francisco Alvarez, who, if you know me, the biggest Francisco Alvarez fan you're going to find. I mean, I was so excited for them to call him up. But the fact that the Mets, he hasn't gotten a single hit yet. He hasn't gotten on base once yet. I mean, come on now. I mean, the Braves, they just, nobody could do what the Braves do. The fact that they called up Michael Harris, and he's been, in my opinion, I think Michael Harris is an MVP conversation guy. Like, he's done that much for Atlanta when you break it down. And then when they called him Vaughn Grisham, he did a bunch of things. I mean, his first game was against Boston, and he was hitting home runs. Meanwhile, Alvarez, we've gotten nothing. Vientos, we've gotten very, very little. And even when Brett Baty was here, he hasn't done much. And it just goes back to what the Mets did in the offseason of not doing enough. The fact that they went into the season and they said, our DH is going to be either Robinson Cano, who just got suspended for steroids and is older than me and is not going to get the job done, or Dom Smith, who had a terrible year last year, or J.D. Davis, who also wasn't good last year. The fact that the Mets relied on that to be their DH solution going into the season, it has just shown up time and time again that it wasn't the smart move. And you had an opportunity at the deadline to do something big, but instead you say, let's get Vogel back. Let's get Ruff, who is so bad that are we going to see Ruff again? I hope not. That is just how bad Darren Ruff has been. So they just kept taking that approach of not doing enough. And I think that when you're a team that has the richest owner in baseball, you have this extremely high payroll, you think you'd go to the next level. Let's see what we got from some of you guys before I keep going. Hayden, what's up? Worst series of the year. Bucks starting aces and offense did not show up well. Sad it came. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just crazy that we got so far. We got to October 2nd. We're about to win 100 games, and it still isn't quite enough. I really thought the Mets would stand up tonight, but instead they fell back as if they were afraid of the Braves. This year I thought it would be different, and I did too. And I wonder how much the Braves experience had to do with this, because you see the Mets, when you have that many guys on and you strand that many, a lot of it has to do with pressing. These guys, they're young, they're nervous, they're inexperienced, they can't handle the big moment. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Braves, the reigning, defending World Series champions and have been making deep postseason runs the past few years prior to winning it all, you just see that they don't really look phased. It's business as usual for them. The Hemingway's home runs, like I said, these guys like Swanson playing really well and Acuna doing his thing. It was just very frustrating when you just see things like that happening. And then Max Scherzer, when DeGrom gave you the bad start, I said, you know what? DeGrom's been struggling lately. But Scherzer, past couple starts, Max Scherzer, he's been about as good as he's been all year. So I felt that, Max knew how important this next game was. Just needed to get one to get that tiebreaker. It was just of the utmost importance. And then Max Scherzer, he's in there giving up 4 runs, 9 hits. So it could have been much worse for Max. He had to escape a lot of jams. He's giving up a ton of long balls. So that was very frustrating to watch. I also expect more out of Max Scherzer. And now I got Braves here. Go Braves, go Braves. And let me say that. I absolutely despise the Atlanta Braves. I hate them. But I will give them credit. The Braves played fantastic. The Braves deserve to be the division winners because they've been one of the best teams in baseball since June 1st. We heard it 526 times. The Braves played great. I can't take anything away from them. They have been the better team. The bullpen was good. The rotation was good. They were defensively fundamentally sound. They had a ton of home runs. So I give the Braves all the props in the world. I hate them, but they got the job done. So you know what? Braves fans, listen. Braves fans, at least hit the like button. That's all I can ask. Show off all you want in the chat. Just leave me a like. If you want to subscribe too, great. But that's all I ask, Brave fans. That is all I ask. What else do we have here? Mets take a good enough approach, and it's not good enough. They did that a lot. I mean, they've done that at the deadline. They did it in the offseason. The fact that they just took the same approach over and over has just been very frustrating when you just see these glaring weaknesses, these opportunities that are completely wasted. So I just think the fact that you see DeGrom not get it done, you see Scherzer not get it done, and just all the strikeouts that were going on. I expect a lot more out of Lindor in this series. He's a guy I'm looking at. Left plenty of guys on base, too many strikeouts. He's a guy that is getting paid so much. Been great all year, but this big series, we didn't get too much for him, and it was just very frustrating. So we will add on, get another take. Mets fan, you got anything? So far, we've really we've covered DeGrom, a little bit of Scherzer, the DH situation, going all the way back to the beginning, but the offseason, going into the season with Cano, JD, Dom, then realizing it's a problem and still being like, oh, Vogelbach and Ruff, so we talked on that and just about how the Braves have been playing better ball. Buck won't get fired, but I will say real quick about Buck, I've seen the same mistakes too many times. Seth Lugo, when he gives you out of an inning, do not make him do an up-down. He doesn't get the job done. And there's all these times where he's sticking with guys too much, and I don't know. I don't think Buck's managing was the best in this series. That's just me personally. I don't think it's been great this past couple of weeks. I just seen a lot of just really questionable things. I mean, why in the world was Tyler Naquin pitch hitting last night over Daniel Vogelbach? What the heck was that? So a lot of questions. Mets fan, do you have any answers for us? Because I don't even know what to say anymore at this point.
They blew it. It's over. They had so many chances to do this. I'm going to tell you right now, they already blew it before this series even started. They had tons of teams that they could have beaten, and they didn't beat them. They just dilly-dallied like crazy, completely trolled. I really thought that tonight's game, maybe they would, since they didn't score at all in these first two games, and maybe this would be the breakout one because that's how they like to do it, and just troll for the first two games, and then, have like those 2 or 3 games during the week where they just don't like to hit and they just want to just lay down and do nothing. Just disappointing all around. The entire team completely disappointing. The only thing that I can really say as a bright spot was the bullpen. I think the bullpen held up as well as they could have. Our 1, 2, 3 extremely disappointing. I'm just shell shocked at just how terrible this was. And I don't even know. I mean, it's over. They screwed up. They played 50 good games, give or take, and they threw it away. That was it. McNeil was great. He showed up. Escobar a little bit. I saw that Pete and Lindor were a combined 5 for 23 in this series.
And we know most of their offense, like way more than 50%, has been from those two guys. So if they're not doing anything as far as driving in the runs, they're not going to get the job done. I mean, the Mets had probably over 40 opportunities with runners on base and capitalized on very few. And all the times that they did get hits, every single one was a single. I mean, nobody even tries for a double. Also about not even trying to steal bases. They don't even try for doubles. I mean, I'm just seeing this conservative approach. I don't know what happened. It looks like a Luis Rojas team, the way they're going about it on the bases. That I thought we were done with that. I thought this was a new coaching staff, much more aggressive, much more creative. I think when you're a team that's struggling offensively, a hit and run. I thought even with Guillorme, how about a safety squeeze? How about that? I mean, you got third and first, one out. You got Escobar third who could scoot a little bit. Riley's playing back. Drop one down. Just find different ways to score runs. You can't have the catcher, James McCann, batting behind you. I just thought you got to try something at that point. Just try to piece together some runs when you're not getting it done.
I've given out way too many there's way too many fingers to point at. Like, there's too many fingers to point at, how bad they played that, you'd run out of fingers. You really would. And that's the thing that, everybody wants to play that blame game. Everybody wants to play it, but the 26 guys that went out there, the 28 guys that went out to Atlanta, they're all to blame for at least something. And as a team, they full on collapsed. Now they just made it harder for themselves. It's pretty much a, what is it? Exactly. They need the Marlins to go Super Saiyan without Alcantara pitching as well, which is fantastic. And then also we need to beat a Nationals team that we had tough time beating last time we played them. So they got the wild card in my eyes. I think this is over. That was the final nail in the coffin. They hit 2 homers today, and you're like, okay, they're hitting homers. But again, juice balls on ESPN, so whatever. And the Braves still continued to hit more homers. So you know what? We knew that there's holes on this roster. We knew that there's parts of this team that is just not full on there. I personally didn't understand really bringing up Alvarez when they just kept Vientos here as the same role. So I would have just waited to call up Alvarez next year, but
it was their last hope, especially
it was their last hope, and I understand.
And I don't know if the rough injury is even legitimate. That's the other thing. I don't know if it was just a creative way to get him off the team, or if he actually did have something he's been dealing with, and they're like, you know what? I think maybe they wanted just the adrenaline shot for the Braves series. That was the only hope, that just the hype could kind of, not only if Alvarez would help the team, but just everybody around them, if they could get an extra boost to really take them to the next step. It felt like maybe that was their only opportunity to get it done. But like you said, that wasn't enough. And, what they did was enough. And if they could have just won, it's yet all these ifs when it gets to this point, but just be decent against these bad teams that they play. The Cubs, the Nationals, the Marlins, the Pirates. Just be decent. And for the most part, you would have been okay. You still would have been, maybe a game, maybe tied at this point, or maybe even still had the lead. It just a couple things here or there, these very winnable games that they didn't get it done for a variety of reasons.
I mean, it is a good point about Harris, Grissom, and Strider all being awesome rookie seasons. We did have an awesome rookie season in 2019, but we just did not put together a full-on good team. There was
and I was saying our 3 rookies, Beatty, Vientos, and Alvarez. I mean, they've been each guy's worse than the next. I mean, it's unbelievable right now.
I mean, the thing is that,
jeez, I mean, Birch, we're going through it right now. Are you really trying to just bury us right now? Let us.
You guys could come to our
team.
You might win something. I mean, you guys did win a World Series last year. I give props to the Braves.
I do too. The Braves played very good.
They played like they wanted it.
Yes.
To the rest of the game, to the rest of the season. Since that June 1st, when they got out of that, little 2-month slump they were in or whatever, they played better than us. They outplayed us, and that was basically what you saw. And all I can say is that just keeping pace with this whole Braves and not being able to break away at all when you had teams that you could beat, I don't know what to say anymore. They had their opportunity and they foiled it. They screwed up. And I don't know what to say anymore. That's all I got to say. It's just it's something that you kind of just saw coming with the pace that they were playing on compared to what the Braves were playing on. But as we said, I mean, the Braves will continue to reign the NL East this year, and that's it. Are we going to the postseason? Yeah, but would we have gotten the first wild card in a regular format of 4 teams going in? Yes, but for a team that was built like this to win, just doesn't seem like enough. And it sucks to say that, because of
How are the reigning champs an underdog? What?
again, it does suck to say that because they won 98 games this year. But it just wasn't enough to win that division. And that's it.
You know what? And it happens. I mean, it happened to the Dodgers last year with the Giants. The Dodgers, they ended up getting further than the Giants, didn't win at all. So it's not like unprecedented for the Mets to still end up doing better. But I think what concerns me, it doesn't so much concern the Mets didn't win the division. It's just the way they're playing right now. I just don't like what I'm seeing, not only against the Braves, but what we've seen the past couple of weeks leading up into this Braves series of just continuing to struggle and just not these winnable games that they're not getting the job done. The inconsistencies of the offense, not driving in runners, just leaving guys on base time in and time out. And we don't know if Marte, he's not going to play in the wild card series, I don't think. I mean, we just have absolutely no timetable on him. And even if we did get a timetable, we don't even know, even if Marte does come back, what's he even going to be? Is he even going to be the starting Marte of old, who was been such a massive part of this team? And you could just tell, they desperately need Marte back. It's such a drastic drop-off when you go from Marte to Naquin, to Guillorme, to Vientos, to Ruff, and then it goes a whole nother big tier down lower in the minors with Khalil Lee and Plummer and just all these other guys that are not major league players. So the lack of depth is just so concerning where, you know what, the Braves, Adam Duvall's out for the year. Ozzy Albies is out for the year. Oh, we know what, Arcia is going to play more. Or, they just have these other guys that step up and get the job done. Vaughn Grisham, he did great for them stepping up. Who stepped up for the Mets? Who was that guy in the middle of the season that came up as a position player and was an unexpected, unsung hero that got us to a big part? Nobody stepped up in the minor leagues. Not a single guy stepped up. None of them. And I don't know, is it an Epler thing? Is it a drafting thing? Like, are we not developing? I mean, what are we at right now? The farm is just so freaking green. It's so young. We're not going to see these guys for another 2 years. Most of these guys that we see on Twitter or whatever online, like we're just so not ready yet to compete with these other farm systems.
It's what that was inherited. And that's kind of just what you're seeing, and that's just kind of what they're kind of just playing on right now. And like we said, they just keep going 26-26, and that's kind of just what you're seeing with this team. Like, yeah, okay, is it possible to have 26 guys who can give you value? Sure, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to get those 26 guys, and when one of those 26 guys goes down, shit, that's what you're dealing with.
And there goes the monetization. So that's out the window. But you know what? I mean, at this point, it's like, what else could you really say? I mean, there's a lot of other words that I really want to say, but I'm not going to. It's just very frustrating when you get this far. You get to October 2nd. This is the year. We'll finally win a division again. There still is, the story's not over, like you said. But again, I don't like what I'm seeing, whether it's Jake or whatever it is. I just can't look at the way this team has played recently and say, oh, when it comes to the playoffs, I feel good where we're at. Because like I always say, it's usually the teams that are hot that go all the way. The Braves got hot late in the year. Nationals got hot late in the year. Even when the Mets did go to World Series, they got hot very late in the season. So a team that's cold and struggling like this, you don't really see them go far in the postseason. So I just can't really feel confident right now going to the playoffs. And like we just talked about with the farm system, but they're in a situation where, they can't afford any injuries. And it just really frustrates me that it's like they go to the bench and it's like, okay, well, now Viento's going to pinch it, does nothing. Oh, now Naquin's going to pinch it, does nothing. And now Nito's going to pinch it for McCann. It's like, really? That's the bench we're dealing with here? And it kind of goes back also a little bit to Terrence Gore, where it's like when you're getting your butt kicked and there's no offense to be found anywhere, you just got Terrence Gore sitting there and providing zero value. Like this massive series, the most important series of the year, and he didn't play a single second of it because, like, that's how limited his value is. So we're talking about, like, the best 28 on the roster, a pinch runner, like, really? But then again, like I said, who else are you going to call that can actually swing a freaking bat? Are you going to call Dom Smith? I mean, for the biggest series of the year, that's all they got. That's literally all that's left in the minor leagues right now for any kind of reinforcements. It's just very tough to get it done.
They just didn't add enough.
At least
That
a
was
Braves
major league
fan
ready.
with some sympathy. Thank you, Robert. You're a good person.
I
Everybody else
personally,
just wants to, bury us.
to be honest, that says a lot about you, Robert. I'll tell you right now, but you've earned the right to scream at her face and do it. Because I'll tell you right now, that's all I really want to do is scream at this team. And it sucks to want to scream and get frustrated against a 98-win team, but something about some of these 98 wins where you're just like, okay, I don't know about that. But for those watching right now, I want to just say this right now. Subscribe to the Mets Weekly channel. If you're on Frank's side right now, or if you're watching on the Mets Weekly channel, it looks like we're pretty much even down from like 50 over here and 50 over here. For those who have not subscribed, please do that. That would be greatly appreciated. Turn on the notifications. We're going to start doing more daily stuff. Coming up, I have about 6 videos recorded, and they need to be edited. So I feel bad for
you know what's funny is that I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but I went on Twitter like a couple times in the past couple days. I just see just a bunch of world is ending. I just closed the app. I'm like, I can't even go on the website because the way people are acting right now.
I ignore most of it. I ignore most of it.
It really is bad.
Unless I have something like 100% clever to say.
And they did, but I'm. If you saw this series, Marte was massive in the Mets win that series against the Dodgers. And also with the Dodgers, it was a lot of weird stuff. Gavin Lux was making errors, pop-ups, ground balls that Marte also hit that he beat out. So, again, we don't want to overreact to regular season matchups. Brandon Nimmo made the catch. He had Rob Justin Turner of a home run. So, it doesn't match up that well. But first, we got to get through the Padres, who, if we're talking about season series, we really struggled against San Diego. So it will be very tough. Yeah, I don't like people that actually are rooting against the team and are like, oh, I told you the Mets stink. I told you. I knew all along the collapse was coming. It's just, oh my god.
I mean, it's hard to call it like a mathematical collapse because they did win 98 games. But I think overall it is one because they've just looked dead in September and have just been getting by. And that's kind of just what I'm seeing.
And I think some of that, I remember early in the year, Canna was playing like 2 out of every 3 days. He would get a day off quite frequently. Yeah. McNeil would get quite a bit of days off. Escobar, Marte, whatever. But it's gotten to the point now where they're in such a tough stretch. And like I talked about earlier, they have 0 depth. Nobody else can make a start. Every single one of these guys played every single day. There is no rest days. So I think that them running out of gas makes sense when nobody can get off there. You know what I mean? Like Alonso playing 160 games, Lindor playing 160 games. I mean, Olsen and a lot of these other guys for Braves, they also played an insane amount of games. But for some reason, they've been able to handle it better. I don't know if that's something with the training. Who knows? You know what I mean? It could be a variety of reasons. Is it getting hit by 110 pitches? Could that be some wear and tear that, all of a sudden you got a little beat up? I mean, who knows at this point? Because they're not the team they were earlier in the year. I mean, no way. The team that was up 10 games on Atlanta, the team that was playing really well, that middle part of the season, July, whatever, August, this is not that team anymore. Not even doesn't even look anything close to that team. Yeah, no, I like Schwarber too. I thought he made a ton of sense to have as a DH. Wouldn't be on the Phillies, leads the National League in home runs, and man, we could really use home runs. Maybe. I mean, this is certainly possible. Max could still kind of be compensating for that oblique. Jake, the blister, and whatever else he's got going on. Who even knows at this point with DeGrom? It's possible, but it's just when the Mets faced Atlanta that last time, they had that big 5-game series, and DeGrom pitched great, and Scherzer pitched great, and again, when they pitched when Atlanta, Scherzer pitched great. This does not look like that same team at all. I mean, it's just such a drastic change from that 5-game set they had against Atlanta to this 3-game set. Didn't look anything remarkable, anything close to me. So that's definitely a very frustrating part about it. Yeah, no, and this is something to think about. I was saying earlier, it's like, do you even start DeGrom on Wednesday? I mean, maybe do you give some guys day off against the National Series? Because why even, unless the Braves, I don't think the Braves are going to get swept by the Marlins. Maybe these guys can really use some days off because it's going to happen quick. It's going to be a very quick turnaround. End of regular season, wild card round starts. That's going to be a tough spot to be in. I definitely think it's something they got to at least consider. And it's just so frustrating to me because they had opportunities. It wasn't like they didn't do any offense at all. It was that you would see so many innings, second and first, third and first, just 2-out hits. But again, it was all singles. So they would just leave so many guys. They could have more hits, but less runs because the Braves were just hitting so many home runs. Absolute no doubters. I mean, it just seemed like every one the Braves got into, it was just completely destroyed. Everything going over 400 feet. Just absolutely crazy. And something we had not seen. I mean, this had to be the shortest start by Bassitt all year, unless maybe one of those California ones early in the year. I think this had to be his worst one. I mean, when do you ever see it in the same inning, Bassitt hit a batter and walk a batter? I mean, he's just been absolute money, especially the second half, every single start. And there's just the one that Chris didn't have it.
Yeah, everything that possibly could have gone wrong went wrong in this series. And all I can say, I expected more. I really did. And from a team that has held off this team all year in first place, it just completely unraveled in 3 days. And that it sucks because, not to mention, it's, game 150, 100 and this, 100 and that. But just the whole entire season, we saw like an identity with this team of grinding ABs, or whether it was stuff like that. It's just there. I'd say that past September, there's just been a majority of these games you're just not seeing that, and they lost that identity. You can call it of the batted ball luck or whatever you want to call it, but they just don't look like the team that entered this season. It's not really just the production, if they're winning or not. It was just kind of just like the fact that they just don't, the whole offensive identity, the whole everything, it just does not look like that right now. And maybe you'll see that in one of the Nationals games, but you're not seeing that consistently. Beginning of the season, 6 out of the 7 days, they showed that identity, grinding out ABs, putting the ball in play, being 9 tough outs, or at least 8 tough outs, minus the catcher spot. But now you're just seeing remnants of that. And it's like, you just don't know if that's going to sustain throughout the playoffs. And I'm definitely not confident as of right now. I mean, again, you can call Marte the glue all you want, but the team has to perform if they don't have somebody there at the end of the day.
My thing is always, with this kind of payroll, you shouldn't be so reliant on one guy. I think that if Alonso and Lindor have been carrying this team the entire year. I mean, they're 2 of the top guys, the whole National League, in runs driven, and call it old man stat all you want, but the results are the results. And if they are not driving in runs, and Escobar's not getting 5 RBIs in a single game, nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is driving in a run. That's just the way it is. Vogelback had a good game, but even then, he's gone in the 4th inning because he's not allowed to face a left-handed pitcher. Like, you limit yourself like that, and then for the rest of the game, you're stuck with Alvarez or Vientos. Vogelback was having a good game. He had 2 hits, driving in runs. He's gone the 4th inning. So, I mean, that's just how you limit yourself when you don't get a true DH, like, let's say, a Kyle Schwarber, for example. Righty, lefty, doesn't matter. He's playing the whole game. He's playing every single day. And then when you kind of take that just enough approach, you get just enough. These are the things that can happen. You are limited. You didn't take an all-around guy. No, and Ethan, we've said this. We've said the depth is terrible. It's not so much like Marte's loss is one thing, but the other guys are just terrible that are not Starling Marte. Like Tyler Naquin is unplayable right now. I mean, Luis Guillorme is making starts every day because the Mets have nobody else. That's just, you're right. The Mets don't have depth.
You have to view a lot of bench pieces, and kind of just like judge them as if they're everyday players, and that's just kind of what we're seeing right now. Like, say what you want about Guillorme, the guy comes off the bench. Say what you want about Tyler Naquin, the guy comes off the bench. Like, these guys have to come in here. We just don't have that type of depth. And it's just something that we saw. They had some options, but we didn't know if they were going to sustain a workout. I mean, it's either they have it or they don't. And we've seen them just work 26 to 26, and that's just been the problem. And I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore in that matter, because we've talked about the roster construction so many times. It's not going to change. It's too late for it to change. And they've missed opportunities front office wise of getting in players, bringing in guys. They missed opportunities on the field as well.
Good night, man. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate you, Philip. Yep. So,
I mean, they squandered opportunities. They did it last year. Even though you had a better taste in your mouth throughout the entire season, you're still seeing a lot of squandered opportunities. And that's something that they have to hopefully fix as they get this organization, into a respectable franchise, because it's not there yet from top to bottom. It's almost there. It's not there yet.
I mean, this isn't a bad idea, just to get them those reps and kind of, just rhythm and get all the nerves out the way, see a little more. Because when you see Francisco Alvarez throwing the bat twice in a game, you know that he is just really holding the bat too tight, over swinging. He's not ready yet, So these guys just need that major league experience, because they got to be ready for the playoffs. Because I'm thinking both when they face left-handed pitchers, let's say when they face Sean Manaea, when they face Blake Snell or Alvarez and Vientos starting, I think there might be a pretty good chance of that. So there's something they got to be ready for. We're going to need them in the playoffs. So, I mean, but we'll see, though. We will see. What else do we have here? Yeah, no, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, the Mets could maybe get back on track a little bit, but they have the 3 games. But I just think that it's one thing for the Mets to win 3 games in a row, which doesn't seem like enough. But for the Braves to lose 3 games in a row, it's like that really just does not seem.
The problem with this scenario is, and that's what really sucks about it. Yes. You can't really have much of an ego boost, I'd say, like, as a fan with these situations. When we lost to a lot of these lowly teams like the Cubs and, that DeGrom start we lost to Oakland, you can't really win mentally, because it's like, okay, well, we won. Well, you only beat this garbage team, right?
I appreciate that. Good troll.
It's like, okay, well, we beat these garbage teams. Well, you only beat this garbage team. And then you lose to them. And if you lose to them, it's like, you lost to this garbage team? Like, there's not really a way where you're like, okay, well, we got something brewing here. But, like, I don't know. They had their opportunity to capitalize, and they did it. Yeah. And we've seen it time and time again.
Right. Yeah, again, and there's no excuse at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we could say, oh, Marte, oh, Max, oh, Jake, but they missed Max and Jake for a long portion of the season, and they ended up fine. They won plenty of games. There were still, guys stepping up, whether it was Peterson or, we saw other guys get the job done. But right now, we haven't really seen any unsung heroes. Like I said earlier, we just haven't seen any X factors. Nobody get hot and sustain it. Escobar had that good series. Canna had that good run when they faced, Marlins and Philadelphia, but nobody's really been to sustain something like that and truly carry a team, like the way Cespedes did for us. You've seen other players do for teams in the past. Nobody's really to really sustain a true hot streak and hit really a power streak is what they need, because, like I said, you'll hit all these singles, but you don't score any runs, or you score 1 run. You need somebody just constantly hitting the ball out of the ballpark to really carry the team. Yeah, and I think with Alvarez being up here, there is a chance that you don't see McCann next year. But I think that we'll focus on one thing at a time. We'll see how it goes. But right now, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about this offseason. We have I think that you invested so much, but it still feels like there's still some things missing, still some ingredients that need to be added to really get the big picture. So it definitely is not quite over yet. This whole Cohen era, there still is more to do. I think, I hope the Mets learn from what happened when we talked about depth and these mistakes that they made in the offseason. It looked like you had a pretty glaring weakness in DH, left-handed relief in the bullpen. And at the trade deadline, you said, okay, we're going to kind of address it a little bit with just enough. But, we didn't have depth. We knew that going into the season. Again, we knew that at the deadline we didn't have much minor league depth. So I just hope that they kind of really go the extra step. And even if it's an off season where you sign just a bunch of guys, and not amazing players, but just a bunch of competent major league guys. They don't all have to be making, 30 million, 20 million, whatever, but just guys that are ready for it. Because baseball is going to throw you a lot of different things. 162 game season, you're going to get hit by 110 baseballs and whatever else is going to happen. You're going to need a lot of different players. And it doesn't really look like we got those guys because they're here. I mean, again, we can just get into all the different just guys we've seen that we shouldn't see. The Devin Marreros, the RJ Alvarez, the Rob Stremensky, and the Fishers, and just all these guys who haven't pitched in a million years, and guys from the Ducks. These guys were actually making starts for us at one point. Against the freaking Braves, Devin Marrero made a start. Really? It got to that point. That's how we went into this offseason.
Where have you been all year when I needed you in an argument, man? Where have you been?
We have bigger fish to fry. No, we're not.
Where have you been, buddy?
No. We are not doing this tonight.
Oh, my God.
Is it National Park? I just saw bleacher seats. I didn't even notice that. Good, thank you. See, I'm gonna have no idea. I'm gonna have to look into that and get some different seats. Listen, if I could paint them blue or whatever, I would, but I don't have that kind of ability.
I just have the Knicks shooting percentage behind me.
You just got Julius Randle's shot chart.
Oh my God.
And listen, it was a very good season. And there's still the book isn't closed yet. I mean, we'll see what happens in the postseason, but it's just frustrating. We wanted the division, we really did, and we had a great opportunity to do it, and they didn't get the job done. So, we'll see what happens from there. But there still is it's not over yet for sure. We'll see. Yeah, but have you been a fan of us, Red Horse? I mean, how long has that fandom been going? That's the real question.
That's my question. Where have you been when I've needed to?
Yeah, John. Listen, if I didn't do this, I don't even know if I'd watch either. It's got to the point where it is not enjoyable. It is stressful. It is not fun. I am not having a good time at all. I mean,
great 98 win team. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, no, it is
98 win team, and that's the thing.
A 98 team should not be this stressful. But it's the philosophy they have where it's you'll see a 2-out single, you'll see a walk, and you're just kind of waiting. You're waiting. All right, is this going to be the time when we come through? Is this where we're going to see a big hit, ground out, pop up?
They are desperate when Alonso doesn't show up. It's just how it is. And we talked about this way too many times. They need him to perform.
And he's
not going to be amazing for 162 games.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
It's unrealistic. Yeah. And what still is crazy to me is that this past week, and even in this series, every single day, it was a completely different lineup. How, and you talked about it in our group chat, bullpen auditions. We're just kind of trying stuff now Trevor May pitches in the 3rd inning. Now Tyler McGill is in the 7th inning. We're just, now Drew Smith is coming in the 8th inning. We're just doing stuff that we didn't do all year long. Now Escobar's batting 5th. Now Vogelback's batting 5th. Now McNeil's batting 5th. Now Canna's batting 5th. Now Pieto's batting 5th. What is going on here? It's October 2nd by now. 98 wins.
They haven't had a 5-hole hitter all year.
Nick, if we didn't get swept, we wouldn't be whining. We'd be celebrating. But when you play like crap, there's going to be whining. That's how it goes. Sorry. We ain't here to BS you. Oh, don't worry, guys. We played great. The offense looks good. Did you see our aces? Oh, they're worth every penny. They pitched great. No, nah. It didn't look like that at all. It looked like a bunch of crap out there. It was disgusting. It was a disgrace. It was a disgrace because the expectation is better than what we just saw.
And that's the thing. They won 9 out of, what was it? 9 out of 15 games before coming into this series. We know they can beat this team. We know they can
won
beat
9
this
games.
Team.
Yeah.
We've seen them beat this team.
Yeah.
So the lights were the brightest and they crumbled. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and I hope it's not a preview for the playoffs. Like, can these guys handle the big postseason spotlight? I don't know. I mean,
they better. Or they're going to be going
They're
home.
going to have to, because this really was the time to do it. This was a playoff series, because this was the difference in planning to play an entire round or not. So just this alone pretty much was a playoff series. And I just expect a little more of Lindor, only because he's the one guy who's actually been to the postseason. So, and he's been good all year, but I was expecting just at least one big hit here or there, at least in one of these games, with runners on base in particular. But he was there. He was not like overswinging. Like, why is Lindor going down to a knee against these guys? I mean, so there are certain guys like Alvarez, I expect him to overswing, but Lindor, I don't. And Douglas, early in the stream, we're giving the Braves a ton of credit. The Braves played better. The Braves deserve to win the division. No question about it. They played well in every single area of baseball. They did everything well. I mean, they had so many guys step up. I take nothing away from them. The Braves
Tyler,
played
it's
very
expectations.
Well. And the Mets
too,
so it's fine.
We have expectations. We expect this team to be good. And that's the thing. It's just they need to perform when they need to perform. And that's just really just how it is. I mean, yes, 98 wins. But like, they needed more to get over that hump, and they didn't. So it definitely was stressful, because we've also seen some inconsistency. I mean, let's be honest for a second. Throughout the entire year, this team looked like they were allergic to sweeping every single team. They always had one game in the series where they're like, okay, yeah, we're not going to show up. Fuck this.
You think they're like brothers or something because they're both Giants?
All right, that's.
I think New York
Someone gets
and
the
Texas.
Reference. That's good. All right, that's. Have you ever interviewed a horse? I mean,
God, oh man, we can spend the rest of the stream.
They did need one win, and that's what sucks.
Yeah, and that was the frustrating. Just to get that tiebreaker, just win one. I mean, even if you lost the series, like, at least give me one. With our 3 best pitchers, we just expected more. I mean, because when you pay Max that much, Jake's going to opt out, ask for $50 million, and then Bassett, he deserves quite a big paycheck at the end of the year. You hope for a little more than that for the results.
I mean, yeah, you can talk about the Braves.
All right, guys, let's settle down. We're all friends here. The Braves played well. Okay.
Benefit of the doubt, they have owned us since the 90s, so that's all I can really say.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean,
that's fair. That is fair.
It's frustrating. It really is. But, thought that we could have finally overtake them, because we held them off for so long in such a long season. But hey,
and the Mets had beaten Fried. I'm pretty sure they've been right at some point. They've definitely beaten Morton a couple of times this year. So, again, it wasn't something new.
Morton was giving them this game at the beginning. Morton was giving them this game at the beginning of the day today. Shades of the John Rocker experience. I mean, there's a lot of guys I don't like on that Braves team, but I don't think anybody covers John Rocker. John Rocker's an asshole. All the Mets needed was one win.
I mean, what else do we got, Mets fans, Braves fans? I mean, any other questions that we have? Because I don't even know what I want. I mean, I guess from the Braves standpoint, Dansby is going to be the biggest question mark in the offseason. Will they give him the big payday? Because they've done – I mean, that's the other thing about the Braves, to give them credit. They have done this unbelievable job with the contracts, giving Michael Harris this extension, Austin Riley and Acuna and Albies and Olsen. amazing team-friendly deals, these great AAVs to the point where that's why they can just keep doing some more and more and more. So with Dansby, he's the one guy that's actually going to be able to reach free agency. The Braves weren't able to get out in front and do these 10-year deals like they did with the other guys. And he's such a good all-around player. His power, his defense, his speed, showing up in the big moments. So some team is really going to want Dansby Swanson. And there's going to be other big-name shortstops out there. Trey Turner, Carlos Correa. Yeah, maybe if he's doing a little
he's making enough money for microtransactions on that game. So
how much of his salary that they gave him too much money, by the way, is going into Call of Duty and Fortnite? That definitely is a good question. But again, so we'll see what happens. I mean, does Dansby end up with another team? Where's Correa go? Where's Trey Turner go? That's going to be the big storyline for the Braves and just for the offseason in general for all of Major League Baseball. Once again, we're looking at the shortstop position. Well, all these really good shortstops that are going to be out there and see where they end up, though. And yeah, I was surprised about this. I mean, I don't know how Braves fans feel when Charlie Morton got another year at $20 million, and he's getting worse as his contract has gone on, which happens with age. That's perfectly normal. And then he has a club option for 2024, I think, as well. I don't know how they did. I don't know what kind of contract they gave him, where they signed him like 2 years ago, last year, and he just keep getting another year and another year and another year. So I don't know about that. Do you want DeGrom, Braves fans? Do you? I mean, with the blisters? I don't know. I mean, Dansby did a lot for you guys, so I wouldn't mind saying that. No, please, no. Don't do that. Don't do that. But we'll see. I mean, could the Braves move Vaughn Grisham to short? Maybe. It's something to consider. If it's out of price range, if Dansby, a Trey, a Correa, you could always have Vaughn Grisham get the job done. He looked pretty good his rookie season. He played perfectly fine. But, I mean, we'll see what the market ends up, determining. But, Dansby Swanson should be their first choice for sure. He's their homegrown guy. He's the guy. Well, I'm sorry, it's not homegrown. They did the trade. But he's their guy that has done really well for them in a Braves uniform. You don't know how Correa before in Atlanta. Trey Turner will be good anywhere. So you don't have to worry about that. But it always hard. I mean, especially with Freddie. I mean, you definitely don't want to lose your own guys, but we'll see. Any other particularly Mets-related questions that you guys got before we head on out of here? I got to go to bed soon. Even though I won't be able to sleep because I'm so pissed off, but I have to at least attempt to go to sleep. I sure hope so, Red Horse. That is my dream, is to have Aaron Judge be a New York Met. I don't care if DeGrom walks. I don't care if Nimmo walks. At this point, I'm thinking about lending. I mean, if I have $50 million, you giving it to Jacob DeGrom or Aaron Judge? Aaron Judge could carry a team. DeGrom cannot. So, and the Mets don't even win when DeGrom pitches anyway.
The thing is that Aaron Judge is a free agent, a contract year merchant. He's going to just be terrible the next year, and he's just going to finesse whatever team he goes to. But I don't know. It's something to think about. The lack of power in this lineup.
Wasn't even an F+. It was an F-. It wasn't
F+.
F+
doesn't even exist, I don't think. But if they make a deep run.
Oof. I still feel like it's going to be Canna. I don't know why. I just get the feeling that he's going to get some big hits. Thank you, Vega. Appreciate it. Have a good night, bro. Thank you.
The playoff hero will
Maybe
be
if Vogelbach even plays.
I'll say the only guy that showed up on our offense completely would be probably McNeil, right?
Yeah, and that's as a McNeil fan, I hope he wins that batting title. It's going to go down to the wire, but we'll see. I hope he wins. That could be a nice little accolade for him. He deserves. He's been great all year long, and he deserves a lot of awards. Actually, he deserves batting title. He should be in consideration for Gold Glove at second. If he doesn't win in there, he should be in consideration for utility. I mean, he's just had a great bounce back year. Absolutely great. Luke, I would love to, but I'm right next to you on the ledge. I would love to talk you off, but I'm there with you, so I can't really help, bro. I wish I could.
I deal with this with 3 other teams as well, so it's like, You move on. You get pissed off for a few hours. You move on.
Yeah, and the thing with Marte, they said the pain has improved a little bit, but he still can't grip a bat or a ball.
Neither can
So,
Beatty, by the way.
yeah, Beatty as well. Yeah, so I don't even know.
Yeah.
He's struggled the past few starts, and I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow. My right pitches tomorrow, I think.
He's another guy. He's another guy that comes into question of if you bring him back.
I would not. I wouldn't. He's
I'm not really. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, and these were great games. These were all playoff caliber games.
All I
And
can
these-
say
these
is
were
if
two very
DeGrom
good
goes,
teams,
then everybody
very
else
good
has to
playoff
go.
division race for sure. No, Carson likes the Knicks, but he for some reason likes the Raiders. Oh my god! I know
I'm a Raider
his
fan.
dad's a Raiders fan.
Thanks,
but
Dad.
dear
Thanks, Dad.
Lord.
Fuck you. Dom Smith for DH. No. It's over. It's over. Again, this is I don't know how many times I can say this PSA. The Dom Smith era is done. It's
Yeah.
over, buddy. For those who like Dom Smith as a good guy,
He's a good guy.
a great
No
guy.
question.
But
Yeah.
it's like, how many chances can the guy get at this point? Mitchell is a cab. Saw that coming. Doesn't matter. Do the Mets go 3 games or shut it down? Oh yeah, they definitely will because the pressure's off.
Yeah,
they're going to
that's
score
true.
10 runs. in
I
every
do
single one of
wonder
those
if we
games.
do see a different team now that they don't have to worry about trying to win the division as much.
I'll tell you, no one
maybe-
wants Dom Smith. I can tell you that right now.
What?
No one wants Dom.
Yeah, I
don't think
think-
anybody wants him.
Yeah, I think they were probably trying to move him at the deadline. Like
he's
they
getting non-tendered.
They threw JD Davis in the Darren Ruff trade, and we saw like the Cubs kind of like Dom, the Red Sox kind of like Dom, but nobody liked him enough. The Red Sox took on the Eric Hosmer, because they got another piece with him, whatever, getting that contract off the Padres' hands. So I don't know if we'll be able to get anything for him. And then Luke Casey was an interesting one. I guess we're not going to see him, right?
No.
I guess not. I don't know why they talk so much about him, and we're watching all his rehab starts and getting updates about his rehab outings when we were never going to freaking use the guy. So that didn't really make sense to me.
I mean, speaking of bullpen guys,
you
I mean,
joking.
I'm excited to see John Curtis next year. But
Yeah, good thing we kept him on the 40-man roster all year long. That was the real bullpen upgrade.
he's got more value than some of those guys that are on the 40-man roster.
Oh, for sure.
but
Oh, for sure. I mean, certain guys still on that 40.
pitching, the hitting core, I don't think is going to change that much next year. But as for pitching, it'll be different. Definitely will.
Oh,
be
especially in the bullpen. I think we'll see a
Bullpen
lot
will
of
definitely be
different
different.
faces in there for sure.
different.
The Astros certainly have a good chance. I wouldn't mind seeing them win. Obviously, if we're not rooting for the Mets, I'd probably go Astros, Tampa, Toronto, bunch of American League teams. Any American League team not named the Yankees. Mariners, I'm all for. But, if it's not the Mets, just give me one of the AL teams that are not the Yankees. That's the way I look at it.
I don't think McGill gets traded. I also don't think that dude is healthy.
I'm sorry,
But-
John. It's tough over chat. I can't tell you didn't put an emoji, you didn't put a punctuation or something. It's tough to tell when we can't hear your wonderful voice,
Mets will-
John. I'm sorry.
Mets should be fine until they see the Dodgers. Good luck. They can match up well with the Dodgers if the starting pitching does not pitch like they did in this series. Don't like their chin. Astros a good team.
Yeah,
People forget they are a good team.
Yeah, you want to talk about regular season matchups? Dear Lord, the Mets got trashed by the
Yeah,
Astros
good
when they
idea.
faced them. So, I mean, if we even get that far, I hope so. I mean, I hope if we see Houston again, it means we made the World Series. So,
It just seems like it's too late to have that momentum carry into the postseason for the Mets, and that's what kind of sucks. But
yeah, I think like maybe I don't know, maybe Marte could give him some kind of spark, but again, even then, it's tough to see. It really is because when you don't play baseball for a month, I mean, how do you get right back into rhythm? And Yonder Alonso on MLB Network was saying like you come back from a hand injury, but even when you come back, it still takes a while before you still feel like comfortable again and ready to go when dealing with a hand. So I don't really see it right now.
team seems more dangerous when they are looking for redemption. Yeah, I mean,
I hope so. I mean, maybe they can use this as
yeah,
motivation. Yeah, no, that's fine. Listen, again, Braves played well. Can't take
yeah,
anything away from
they
them.
outplayed us. I mean,
It's fine. I think I've been pretty good this year. We're not talking trash over the Braves. I think I've been pretty good about that.
I just
But it is what it is.
besides saying I hate them, I don't
I do
really.
hate them, but it's more of a.
Besides saying I hate them, I don't
I
really
hate the
have
Braves
any.
because of how good they are as well.
Yeah,
It's more so like a competitive hate. Yeah. No, listen. Talk all the junk you want. It's very nice. Take it all out on us. That's fine. Thank you. Judge is unrealistic. So what can we do to improve offense in the offseason? Well, Sneaky O Snaps. Stay tuned to Mets Weekly Empire Sports Media, where we will have plenty of off-season
yeah.
videos and streams talking all
Whew.
things off-season. It's going to be, all off-season we're going to be doing stuff like that. Luka Magic hits with it was this was what really hurt them. They had opportunities. They had so many guys in running scoring position, so many guys at first base. Then drive them in. Even the times where they did, you got your 3 hits and only gave you 1 run. And then when Matt Olson's a 2-run homer, all that hard work is gone.
In every aspect, they've squandered an opportunity. So, I mean, you can really just come to that conclusion in every single possibility. I mean, offense, pitching, as a team, on the field, at the deadline, they squandered so many opportunities.
Yep.
And that's pretty much been the reality of why they kind of fell short here.
Well, thank you, Christopher. Why can't more people be like Christopher?
Nothing to
Just
say.
like how you doing?
Nothing to say.
Moving. Thank you, Christopher. Good man. Appreciate
Nothing to say, but hit your head against a wall. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the big if. I mean, we don't know it, Marte. And listen, this was the worst we've seen DeGrom and Max on a 2-day span. I mean, we never seen and Bassett as well. We never saw a series the whole season where all 3 guys had bad starts like that. And again, that's credit to the Braves. Listen, they crushed the crap out the ball. There was nothing fluky. There was nothing lucky. Most of those were just absolute no doubters that they were hitting. So they did very well. They took advantage of DeGrom missed his spots, Max missed his spots, Bassett missed his spots, and the Braves took advantage, absolutely crushing it. So I can't take anything away from them. I really can't. As much as I want to make excuses. I can't. The Braves certainly played better. They really did. Yeah, no, they did, and they even used Strider too. That's the other frustrating part about it. That wonderful man with that mustache. Don't you just gotta love him? Yeah, no, and we talked about the experience. Maybe that was a factor. Yeah, no, and this is definitely one.
But with having a more experienced team, you look at this roster; they're not young. So it's like,
that's definitely a concern for sure. We'll see. I mean, I wonder how it's going to be like. Let's say 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's going to be a very interesting looking team. And hopefully, Alvarez gets it going, Beatty gets it going, Vientos gets it going because, Escobar's not going to be here much longer. Neither is Canna. Marte's only here for a few years. We don't know if Nimel's going to be back as early as next year. We don't even know how long McNeil's going to be here. Are they going to re-sign him? When are they going to re-sign Alonso? Like, there's still a lot of questions to be answered. We'll get to it eventually, but there's still a lot to go.
We'll see.
Yeah, listen, Lindor had a bad series. If you're looking at OPS, he hits a lot of singles. That's why the OPS isn't as great as we'd like it to be. Yeah, he goes the opposite field, but he does more things than just the OPS. Been amazing all year defensively.
Just 7-win player.
Yeah, his WAR is great. So he's got to be doing something right. We may not see it in the box score. We may not see it with the eye test, but all those advanced numbers really, really play in his favor. Thank you, Ronald. I appreciate it. We do try our best to be objective. Like we said, as much as you guys want to hear everything is fine, Mets are great, don't worry, we had a great year. And they have had a great year. I don't want to take anything away from them, but they didn't get that ultimate goal to win the division. They had a really good opportunity to win it. It was right there for them. They didn't do it. And when you're a team that has such a good season and you lose these winnable games to the Cubs, Marlins, Nationals, Pirates, this is the consequences. You got to win those games. The Braves all year long destroyed these bad teams. And we were saying, like, in May or June, whatever it was, oh, well, the Braves beat the Oakland Athletics. That's not impressive. And then we get smacked by them with DeGrom on the mound. So what goes around comes around. That's just the way it goes. Yeah, the Keith Hernandez injury. That was the problem.
That was it.
I mean, if we had Keith there, we would have had a much better chance.
I don't even know what to blame. Again, you can point as many fingers as you want, but
yeah, he's probably got crazy reaction.
Again, it's just in general, they wasted an opportunity. They shot themselves in the foot way too many times. I mean,
man, he will not be ready this Friday.
He's done. He's done for the year. He's done.
Yeah,
if you make it to the NLDS, maybe you'll get him back, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
Like I said, even if he does come back, we don't know how he's going to be.
Home field advantage in the wild card round. All 3 games would be at Citi Field, correct?
Is that correct? I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure it's played like a regular season series, right? Where all of them are. I mean, it makes sense, in my opinion.
Well, not all 3, because if like one team wins one and another team wins one, like I don't even know. I think there's got to be some kind of travel, but
it's all in Citi Field, correct? I'm
not even sure. I don't even pay attention to the.
And to be honest, I'm not even comfortable with that because they're losing to shit teams at home. You know, we've seen them give up runs in the first innings.
I do wonder how the playoff roster is going to be. That is going to be interesting. You know, with Gore, is he actually going to make the team to be a pinch runner? Are you going to have Vientos and Alvarez? You know, so there's going to be some interesting questions on the playoff roster. I definitely curious to see how that goes. If I had the choice, I would go Alvarez over Vientos. I just think there's much more upside with Alvarez. So he's the guy I'd want up there. And I just hope that – and I liked that in his last at-bat, he was starting to lay off some pitches. He eventually ended up chasing, but he's still just not quite ready yet. And Vientos, whether he's ready or not, he just hasn't looked great.
They didn't give him enough time. He just didn't.
I mean, maybe eventually we'll win a division, but I think like when we talk about the 10-year outlook, things look much more favorable for the Braves because we talk about the Mets being old. The Braves are so freaking young. You know, I mean, so many of these position players, Michael Harris and these guys are so young that they could be great for a really long time. So I don't see.
Yeah, it would all be in Citi Fields like a regular season series.
Yeah. Okay. So, but again, even then, like that doesn't do much for me.
You like your chances to beat the Dodgers with all lefties on the mound? It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the Mets, their biggest struggles offensively have been against left-handed pitchers and against Los Angeles with Walker Buehler.
They've been a lot more balanced than I thought, but like.
No, the numbers are pretty bad, especially if we're looking at OPS. It's pretty drastic, righty and lefty.
Bad ops.
Yeah, bad ops. So and you'll be facing Urias, you're facing Kershaw, you're facing Tyler Anderson, and then Gonsolin in there. He's right-handed, but he's still just absolutely carved.
If I haven't switched teams yet, I probably will not.
Yeah,
I probably never will.
I mean, Anthony, after all Met fans have been through, if they didn't break us in 13 and 14 and 08 and 09 and 10, 11, 12, they can't break us now when they're actually playing well. Made the playoffs. Yeah.
06. Frank's still broken from that one.
Yep.
07.
And that's the thing that concerns me is that if the Mets ever, let's say this Mets team did get that far, we have so many Aaron Howmans in that bullpen that I just can't feel very confident. I mean, between Drew Smith and Trevor May,
I don't have much to say about the bullpen recently. I think in September it's held up pretty well overall.
For the most part. Like that's the thing. Like the reason the Mets have lost most of their games has been the offense. There wasn't a game where it's like, oh, you know what? We had the lead in the 8th inning or the 7th inning and the bullpen blew it. Like we haven't said that once this past month. It's all just been we didn't come through with runners on base, or we got a bad start from our starting pitcher, whether it was Carrasco or Walker or DeGrom.
It was half-assed baseball.
Yeah,
they just did just enough, and it finally caught up. It finally caught up to them. And we talked about this the entire year, going 26-26, or I mean,
this is an interesting way.
They did just enough.
I don't know, but that's an interesting way to look at it because it is true. I mean, the Dodgers definitely would have that advantage with like you have to do the games in like 3 straight days or whatever. That definitely is advantage Dodgers. So maybe something interesting to at least consider.
We
I didn't
need
really
our
think
top
about
3 to perform to beat the Dodgers.
Yes,
That's just kinda how
to
we
beat anybody. To beat anybody.
Yeah, that's
What
just how it
happened this
is.
weekend with the 3 main aces, that can't happen again. Definitely not.
07 was brutal. I don't know about that, man. 07 was tough.
Yeah. Well, 88 was rough because you like 88. You really felt like that team could win it.
I wasn't a
07.
I wasn't alive
I didn't
for
feel
it.
like that team could win it all. So
I wasn't alive for it. You were. So
yeah, no, 88 was worse than 07. I agree with that. That team, of the very few Mets teams that really felt like had a real chance to win the World Series, I thought when I was watching in 88, they really had a good opportunity.
I'd say 06 had the best chance probably after that 86.
Oh,
run,
yes.
but
Oh, yeah. 06, definitely. Definitely. Because
06 came like inches away. I mean, that was it.
And then the Cardinals, and what made it so much worse is that the Cardinals ran through the Tigers in the World Series, ran through them. And it's like we had the Cardinals on the ropes. So I didn't think the Tigers were all that great that year. The Cardinals were the
swing the bat, Carlos. Swing the bat.
Yeah, and
swing the damn bat.
And Aaron Hammond, don't
throw up a cookie to a
We'll talk about Braves becoming Mets, and that's the thing. Like you have to remember, that was the Will Pond regime. You're getting like everybody in that rotation was 40 years old between Glavine and Pedro and El Duque. Like all these guys were 40 years old. Like wow, Glavine and Pedro in the same rotation. Oh my god! But yeah, when it's like 20 years too late. It's just not the same effect.
And that's the tradition that the Mets kept up for like 20 years of bringing guys past their
guys
prime.
in the chat, the other day, off stream, myself, Mets fan, and Andrew Acevedo, we were looking at like the past Mets teams over the few years and just like the random names that we saw, guys. Oh my god! Like people that people have never ever. I don't even remember them.
I mean, we thought. I mean, we think the 26-26 right now is bad.
Oh god! And
back then,
play like 30 games, 40 games of the season, and we're like, we suffered through this. What? I mean, the names. I encourage you guys just go.
I mean, we're spoiled with expectation right now, but it's like
there was 1 year. I don't know if it was like 13 or 2012. It was 1 year. I was like, oh my god, we employed these guys really. We've been through so much.
Thin and top heavy were those 2010 Mets teams. Mel Rojas was the worst move ever.
Now we're really going back into the old archive.
I'd say, I mean, if you ask this guy right here, he'd say drafting Heilman in the first round was like the shape-shifting franchise move.
Yeah, that definitely put us on the wrong track.
But I mean, same round you did get David Wright.
Yeah.
So
and of course, we'll go back to Duaner Sanchez. I mean, who else like has a high leverage reliever get hurt in a taxi crash? Any other team have that? No, only the Mets.
Nope.
Only the Mets. The guy had to just pick up some food. Like Duaner, you didn't have anything in the kitchen. You could just cook and ate that day. Why'd you have to get that damn cat taxi? Come on. Jesus. Somebody could have delivered it to him. Why did he have to go in to get food? Oh, don't you have like nutritions and like the team has people that could have made food for Duaner Sanchez? Oh,
stupid Mets injuries. Way too many.
And the Mets got to fly to New York tomorrow. Like that was great scheduling. Thanks, Manfred. Oh, can't wait. Unreal. Are y'all Dan Wagner? It seems like they did. What?
He seems like he.
What? I don't even know what that.
Oh, I think he's saying we bandwagon to this team because we started the show with the Cohen era.
Okay, gotcha.
Unfortunately, no. I really wish that I bandwagoned to this team when Cohen took over because I wouldn't have experienced pain so much.
You should watch my videos when before Cohen was here, the Wilpons were in the Mets. We're still stinking it up with Todd frickin' Frazier and company. Watch those videos, and I'll still ranting.
Man, we got Adrian Gonzalez. He's playing first base now.
And I was ranting then when the Mets were
batting title.
So no bandwagoning on this show.
Oh God!
Sorry.
Mets fans, the Mets
Yeah.
don't have bandwagons. It's not possible. I don't think it is possible for
Oh
Mets
no,
to
they
have
do. They
bandwagons.
do. They do.
Do they?
Oh yes, they do. Because
Do
I
they?
went. Oh yes, they did. I went away like a month ago. Everyone had Mets jerseys on. I was like, where were all you people like 3, 4 years ago? Everybody had a Mets
Where,
jersey on.
where
No
were
Yankee
all of you when
jersey.
Sean Markham was a fucking starting pitcher for?
Yeah. Where were you when Aaron Harang was out there slinging it? I mean,
Oh,
what are we
fuck.
doing here? And we had Jose Valverde and oh my god, it's midnight.
That was so
I gotta wrap it up, folks. I'm sorry, but thank you so much, everybody who joined, everybody who liked the stream, everybody who commented, even the Braves fans. I thank you as well. We'll do more of these, come postseason time, pre-games, post-game, things like that. We'll be doing a lot of different stuff in the offseason on the Mets Weekly channel. I'll be doing some, individual stuff on my channel. So thank you again, everybody tuning in. Carson, you got anything you want to close with?
We've got regular season grades for each player that Andrew and I sluggishly recorded last night about midnight to 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. That was tough. Yeah, definitely coming off a lot of salt from yesterday's game, and definitely today did not help. And then we also have a video maybe tomorrow or Tuesday, most likely Tuesday. There's going to be a lot more daily stuff coming towards the end for the postseason and also for the off season. So tons of stuff. So stay tuned.
Yeah,
That's it.
then make sure you're also going to EmpireSportsMedia.com for all your New York sports stuff, not just Mets. Talking about the Jets getting a win, Giants getting a win. You got everything you need on EmpireSportsMedia.com. So make sure you go there. Yeah, great for our DHs F. Oh my goodness, yeah. No, there's a lot. No tomahawks. Enough with the chops. And one last thing. I'm sorry, I just got to get one last thing off my chest. The other thing that really drove me nuts today, ESPN. The commercials. Oh my God. All of these things that they were trying to sell me. They tried to sell me things to massage my legs. They tried to sell me things for glucose monitors. They tried to sell me security systems. They tried to sell me razors. Those are commercials I was seeing. All the stuff they were trying to sell me. I was like, I have no money left. I had the credit card, and I bought everything that they had on TV on ESPN for the commercials.
What ESPN were you watching?
It's the one I got on the cable box, and this is what they were showing me. Everything was an advertisement that was a minute long. They were selling a container for your potatoes. I was like, oh my God, I need to get this because as I'm just having this misery of watching the Mets, my one saving grace, I get a container to store my potatoes. That was the life-changing decision I need. And then they're talking about election races in Georgia for the governor. I'm like, I can't even vote in Georgia. Why are you showing me commercials about this, ESPN? I don't want to vote for the Georgia governor. I got nothing to do with that. So I don't know if it's Optimum. I don't know if it's ESPN. What the hell did I just watch? So between that and the garbage on the field and then the garbage during the commercials, it was a bad night for me. Unreal. Clean it up.
The commercials go right past me, I'd say. I can't even like comprehend what I saw during the commercials. When the Mets are just like dead offensively, I don't even say anything.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my last big gripe. And then, oh my God, if I heard Eduardo Perez talk about Austin Riley not going after a foul ball one more freaking time. Oh my God! It all comes back to the foul ball. Oh, that foul ball changed the game.
Listen,
it's like, oh my God!
Might as well put the Braves hat on. I mean, put the Braves hat on, folks. I mean, Eduardo Perez is pissed that we passed him up for Beltran.
Can't imagine why.
I can't imagine why.
Because all the other teams have just been desperate to hire him as their manager since. So, I mean, yeah. He has this wonderful opportunity to audition himself for a bunch of clubs being on ESPN, yet nobody hires him as their manager.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a good play by Riley, but did they have to bring it up like 5 times an inning?
I mean, that would have hit the bag if a Braves player hit that. I'm just saying. Yeah. Typical Braves luck.
Red Horse, one last thing quick because I got to go to bed. I got to go to work in the morning. So, I appreciate everybody, though, but I do have to go to sleep. At least try to sleep. All right. But so I'm just waiting on Red Horse to get his last comment in. Anyone to get last thoughts in? No, let's not go Braves. No, let's go Braves. No chops. No
The
nothing.
NL East is
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but I always say the reason why that happened was when the Mets were 10.5 up, the Braves were under 500 at that point in the season. Like, that wasn't going to sustain. The Braves were eventually going to, get it all going and be the team that we know they're capable of being. So that was more so just Atlanta Braves playing on a like the Mets still played well. They were 20 games over 500 for the rest of the season, but the Braves just played better. And that's it. They just played like one of the best teams in baseball, and it looked like one of the best teams in baseball this weekend. So it was just a story that kept on going. But as a Met fan, it certainly was a terrible weekend. No question about it. But
I've seen worse.
well, that's true.
Seen worse.
Unfortunately, we have seen worse. So
shake
again,
it off. Go on to
thank
the
you,
next
everybody. Everyone that likes now, in the future. Subscribe if you haven't. Let's go, Mets. Wake up, please. Get some offense.